It is the beginning of the month, which means it is time for another Artsnacks unboxing. This is the February 2019 box, and ooh, this was an interesting one. So I have this one spoiled for me on social media because normally I try and record this as soon as I get it, but I had to wait almost an entire week to record this one, so I did see all of the products just between like Facebook, Instagram, just Artsnacks as a whole, posting other people's drawings with this box. I knew pretty much everything that was in here, sadly, but at the same time, that was kind of a good thing because I got a little heads up on what I was getting, so I want to say I formulated a plan, but I did not. But in this box, we got quite the variety of supplies. The main thing was the Rembrandt soft pastels, which I don't like working with any kind of pastels. Oil pastels, soft pastels are not my favorite. It also came with a Faber-Castell White Pit Artist pen, which I almost like completely destroyed right off the bat, but that's for later. We also got a Faber-Castell kneaded eraser, as well as this Zebra Delgard mechanical pencil, which was super cool looking. Very fancy mechanical pencil. I guess it has like an extra spring in it, so it is almost impossible to break the lead as you are using it, which is pretty cool. I did not use it too much, so I didn't really get a chance to test that out. I just swatched it and used it to sketch, but I'm not a huge fan of just straight up lead. I normally use colored lead, so as a whole, this is not a supply that I normally use, anything like it really. But that is everything we got. We also got a little sheet of paper of the Stonehenge craft paper, which I was like, what the heck is this when I got it? Because I was like, it's a little sheet of cardboard, why is this here? No. It was a piece of paper. It's just craft paper. But yeah, when it came to that white pen, it wasn't showing up very well, and in my head, I was like, paint pen, right? So I jammed the nib into the pen, like, right after doing my first mark on the paper. I was able to salvage it though. I did get tweezers and I ripped it out, but don't do that. Like, I don't know why I did that. I know it's not a paint pen, but it was not putting out ink. It looks way more white on camera than it did in person. It was not an opaque white, which is what I wanted, especially if it's gonna go on top of pastels. It didn't work great on the I'm not a fan of that white pen. If you're looking for like a transparent pen, I guess, but like I was expecting opaque, and mine at the very least was not super opaque, so I personally was not a fan of that. But when it came to using pastels, that's an adventure. I'm not, like I said, not really a big fan of pastels. I don't really like working with like any messy medium like that. Like, I don't even like working with like straight up graphite. The reason I don't use lead, I use colored lead. The reason I don't use just like regular graphite is because it smudges and it's messy. Like, that's the sole reason I switched over to colored lead, is because it doesn't smear as much, and I ended up liking colored lead anyways because I like the way it looks under watercolors. But like, I'm just not a fan of messy mediums because I don't like getting my hands super messy, but that's what this was about. The kneaded eraser said it was like to erase it, but I also found out that if you lay down a lot of pastel, the kneaded eraser blends it very well. I found that out on accident. I was trying to erase and it was like, it's just pushing around the pigment, but that came in handy. You can also just push around the pigment with your finger, which is what I did later because I was tired of getting so much pastel all over that poor kneaded eraser. That is a nice kneaded eraser, by the way. I've gotten a couple in the past that are like rock solid from different brands. Like, I'm pretty sure the Prismacolor one is like a brick, and I don't know how that is considered to be a kneaded eraser. You cannot knead that thing. It is awful. Not a huge fan of hard kneaded erasers. I really like the soft squishy ones. And this is the soft squishy one, so I do like the kneaded eraser. It has a bunch of pastels in it now, so I can't really use it. I mean, I can, but I don't want to drag pastels on things on accident. They do erase pretty easily with a kneaded eraser, so that's not like the biggest problem. It's just like, if there's a lot of pigment down on the paper, it will just push it around. Eventually it'll erase, but if it's just a light, I was gonna say light wash, if it's a light layer of the pastels, it will lift it, which is nice. But yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I used the very fancy looking craft sheet of paper they sent, and I did a sunset and the bottom is supposed to be like the reflection on water, which I've never done anything like that before, so I know this is simple, but the water thing going on at the bottom, that was pretty ambitious, and in my opinion, it's really hard to tell what's going on, and that's okay. I didn't know what I was doing. I do like the top, like, 3/5 of the drawing. Once it came down to the bottom, it was like, oh boy. But, like, I don't know. Not really big on pastels, but this was really cool to play with. I know I've seen a couple people with, like, they got sets of blues, or there was a couple others that got reds, so I was surprised I got oranges, because I didn't see anyone with oranges, and I'm okay with getting oranges, because I feel like there's a lot you can do with it. Not that I'm saying I'm going to be using these pastels a ton in my future, but I do have them in case I ever feel like I want to use pastels more, which probably won't happen, but they were definitely fun to play with, something different. So I know this is kind of short, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.